Hello friends, very good morning to all. Very good morning to all. How are you all? Working on the subjects that we are teaching? Yes, yes. Solving the questions? Good. Okay. So, myself Abhishek Bhatia sir. Now, I've already told you that we are doing our level best to let you encourage and study well. Okay. So, again, reminder for all. Okay. This is my team. You can see that. And I already told you that for more details you can get in touch with our subscription. You can get our subscription, right, for the doubt clearance, weekly test, right, your performance rate, everything that we used to manage. Thereafter you can see that this is the batch course, right? What are the different batches are there for the different courses in which you can enroll, right? You can select any batch depending on your interest, on which faculty you are interested in, right? Depending on that you can select the different batch. Okay, see, this is the way we teach in the Unacademy Plus, right? That's a different pattern in which we teach over there, right? You can see the comment box here, right? You can see the comment box here, and you can see the way in which we teach in the Unacademy Plus. Okay, that's different, bit different, more soothing to your eyes. And this is a doubt clearance session you can see in the Unacademy Plus. Okay, so that you can see over there. You post your doubts, and a faculty used to give a video lecture about that doubt. Okay, then after that, what you need to do for all this, you need to install the Unacademy app, right? You need to select your goal, right? And then you need to select on get subscription. When you click on get subscription, you will get option for subscription for 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 12 month, or 24 month, right? If you are a seventh, that means you are in the sixth year, you will be going the seventh semester. You are in the sixth semester, you are going the seventh semester, then you should go for 6 month subscription. If you are a third year student, that means you are going the third year, then I would advise you right now to go for 12 month subscription, right? You can use my code BHAR 10. See, this code is not that. See, every faculty must be giving you their own codes, right? This code is just that you like my teaching and that's why you're using that. Okay, so that is just for the code part, nothing more than that, right? Now, those who are economically poor, what they can do, they can go for the EMI options also. Those who can't pay for one time, they can go for the EMI. There's a debit card and credit card, both EMI is there. Okay, is it clear? So for the doubts in the those who are studying the YouTube, you can face you can like this page. You can post your doubts in the YouTube, where our faculties will be responding over there, right? And all the notes, all the PDF notes, all those who are asking about that, all the PDF notes are available in the Telegram group. All the notes, whatever the subject you are learning, their notes will be available in the Telegram group. You can note this group, you can log into this group, and we will be, you can see the notes and the lectures in the Telegram group itself, right? And just that, you need to subscribe our channel, right? You need to share the videos more and more, so that we also get continuous encouragement that we are doing something good for the civil engineering, right? Secondly, those who have not hit the like button till now, please hit the like button, so that we can understand how many students are attending the classes actually. Okay, please hit the like button, please hit the like button, and share with your friends as much as possible, so that I can see more number of students in the class. Yes, please hit the like button fast. Hit the like button. If you are not hitting the like button, you're not doing correct judgment with you also, right? So you need to hit the like button, right? So please hit the like button. Please share with your friends. Allow more friends to come in this lecture, so that I also get encouraged to give better quality education, right? Okay. The second is those who are asking about the class timings, right, what is the schedule, so please look over here. In the morning that we are having, right, the class is from 7 to 10:30. 7 to 9 I am taking the class, and 9 to 10:30 Ashwarya sir is taking the class. Okay, that is in the morning. Strength of material is going on, and in the evening, in the 9 to 10:30 RCC is going on, right. In the evening time, from 7 to 8:30 environmental engineering is running, and 8:30 to 10 surveying is going on. Okay, the RSSMB course that is running in this channel is from 4 to 7. 4 to 5 Ashwarya sir is taking the geotechnical engineering. 5 to 6 Chetan sir is taking the BMC, and 6 to 7 I am taking the surveying. Okay, so that's all from this part. That's all from this part. Let's move to our topic, that is strength of material. And in the strength of material, we were studying about the thermal stress. In the strength of material, we were studying about the thermal stress. So what you understood about the thermal stress in the last lesson? Yes, what was in the first module of the thermal stress, what you have learned, that a stress is generated, a thermal stress is generated only when strain is restricted. Yes or no? Only when strain is restricted. If you don't restrict the strain, that means if you don't let the deformation to get restricted by any of the opposing force, then you can't see the thermal stress to develop. You can't see the thermal stress to develop in the bar. Yes or no? We have seen this point. Yes. Okay, so now we will moving further. We have solved few question, right? So due to the lack of time yesterday, I have to deal one more question over here. One more question over here. So first question for the day. Yes, for the plate shown in the figure, or the plate shown in the figure, for the plate shown in the figure, determine final length in the x direction, due to increase in temperature of T degree centigrade. Okay, so let's draw the diagram first. So this is the diagram given to you, right, where you can see a plate is there, and this plate is a shape of a square. This plate is in the shape of a square, right? Now this plate has a coefficient of thermal expansion alpha, and it is subjected to rise in temperature of T. Let us say E is the Young's modulus and mu is the Poisson's ratio. Okay, so I am saying that the horizontal is X and vertical is Y. So you have been asked to find the final length, that is length of the bar in the X direction after the rise in temperature has occurred. Okay, after the effect of temperature you have seen. Is it clear? So for you, I will be explaining each and every part very clearly. Okay, so just try to understand. In y direction, if you look, the material will try to expand. Okay, but no expansion is allowed in the y direction. No expansion is allowed in the y direction. Why no elongation is allowed in the y direction? Can anyone tell why no elongation is allowed in the y direction? Yes. Can anyone tell why no elongation is allowed in the y direction? Yes. Because it is fixed. Yes, because it is fixed. So if it is fixed, so what we know, and what we know that if the bar is fixed in the y direction and it will try to expand, then we know that what is the nature of stress, what is the nature of thermal stress? It will be compressive in nature. Yes or no? It will be compressive in nature. So that I am writing as sigma y. That I am writing as sigma y. Yes or no? That I am writing as sigma y. Okay. Now look in the x direction. Look in the x direction. So in the x direction, so can anyone tell me, will there be any restriction to the strain? Will there be any restriction to the strain? Yes or no? Come on, mention fast. Write in the comment. Yes or no? Please write fast. I'm saying again, due to increase in temperature, will there be any restriction in the x direction? Yes or no? Yes or no? There will be no restriction. Why? Because one end is free. And if one end is free, it is free to expand. Yes or no? So no stress is going to come in the x direction. I hope it is clear. No stress is going to come in the x direction. Is it clear? So try to understand my point. Stress is not going to come in the x direction, but the strain is going to come in the x direction. Yes or no? Because we know that in a free expansion, the material can expand by L alpha delta T. Yes. So what I'm going to write? Change in length in x direction due to temperature increase in x direction. See, I'm a kind of faculty who believe that my students should understand each and every part. That's why most of the things that I used to tell, I used to write. Okay, maybe that may take time, but I feel it will let you understand more. Okay, so what I'm saying, that change in length in x direction due to temperature increase in the x direction. Can anyone tell what should be the value? Can anyone tell what should be the value? Come on, fast. Can anyone tell what should be the value? Yes, yes, yes. Due to temperature increase in the x direction, what should be the change in length in x direction? Yes, nothing but L alpha T. Yes or no? Yes or no? And this is elongation. This is elongation. So I'm writing it as elongation so that you don't get confused, right? Because there's a temperature increase. So if the temperature is increasing, what will happen? If the temperature is increasing, then the length will increase and it's a free expansion, right? Okay. So change in length in x direction due to temperature change in x direction. What I'm writing next? What is the change in length? Change in length in x direction due to stress in y direction. Due to stress in y direction. Yes or no? So what we can write? Nothing but thermal stress in x multiplied with L. Now this thermal stress is x is only due to stress in y direction. Yes, that is stress in y direction. So what is the stress in y direction that is causing strain in x direction? Come on, who can tell? Come on, who can tell? Yes, write in the comment. Write in the comment fast. Write in the comment fast. Please, it's a request. Those who haven't liked the video till now, please like it so that I can understand how many are present. Please like the video. Yes. So what is the strain in the x direction due to stress in the y direction? Come on, fast. Come on, fast. What should I write? What should I write? Come on, who can tell me? Who can tell me fast? Who can tell me fast? Come on, say. What should we write? Strain in the x direction. See, this is horizontal is x and vertical is y. So I'm saying, what is the stress? What is the strain in x direction due to stress in y direction? Yes? Good. Mu times sigma y by E. Now I'm writing directly without any sign, because we know that if one end it is compressing, if one axis it is compressing, then other it will elongate, right? And this multiply with L. So from here what we can write, what is sigma y? It is a fixed end, so we can write as E alpha t by E, and this multiply with L. So that is equal to E cancelled out. E cancelled out. The value that you are going to get is mu times L alpha t. Okay, that is mu times L alpha t. Now again, what is this? Elongation only. It is coming positive, right? So it is elongation only. So these are the two factors that are causing the change in length in the x direction. These are the two factors that are causing change in length in the x direction. I hope it is clear. These are the two factors that are causing change in length in the x direction, and since both are elongation, what I'm saying, since both are elongation, so both get added up. Yes or no? Both get added up. That means it should be very clear that the length of the plate in the x direction will increase. Yes or no? So first of all, I am finding what is the change in length. What is change in length? Change in length, that is delta L. So that what we can write, L alpha t plus mu times L alpha t. Is it clear? So that is the change in length. And what is the final length? What is the final length? That I am writing as L dash. This is equal to L plus delta L, which is nothing but L plus L alpha t plus mu times L alpha t. So from here, I can take L common. I get the value as 1 plus alpha t plus mu alpha t. In fact, we can do small common part. Taking alpha t common, we get 1 plus mu. I hope it is clear to everyone. I hope it is clear to everyone about the final length. Yes, about the final length. Any doubt, please ask in the comment box. Please write in the comment box. Write whatever the problem you are having. Please write. Please write. Please write. I know you will be saying, sir, please repeat. I will be repeating first. First, see whether you are able to understand or not. Please first see this diagram properly. Right, right now I've currently zoom out, and in this zoom out situation you can see the entire figure. So start from the top and look till the bottom. Any part you are having any doubt, please mention in the comment. Please mention in the comment. I'm not in a hurry to complete my syllabus. I'm not in a hurry to complete my syllabus. I just want that whatever concepts I am delivering to you, it should be clear to you, right? Should be clear to you. Okay, so what I said, there is a plate where in the y direction both the ends are fixed, and in the x direction one end is fixed, other is free. So due to rise in temperature, what will happen? In the y direction, the material will try to expand, but because the ends are fixed, because the ends are fixed, it will not allow it to expand, and because of which, I'm zooming it, because of which you can see the compressive stress of sigma y in the y direction. Is it clear? Now, what I said, if the sigma y is acting in the y direction, then it must be applying the strain in the x direction, yes or no? Okay, so that will consider. So first of all, what we determine that since in the x direction, one end is free, so there will be free expansion, and due to the temperature change, that expansion will be L alpha T. That expansion will be L alpha T. Next, what we are doing, due to the stress of sigma y, that is a compressive stress, we are finding that what is the strain in the x direction. And that strain is given by mu times sigma y by E, that we know from the Poisson's ratio concept. Okay, and that multiplied with the L, that will give you the change in length, right? And thereafter we substitute the values and we got the final length. Okay, so just have a look. Any doubt, please ask. Any doubt, please ask. Any doubt, please ask. I think I've given sufficient time to this question for letting you understand. Yes, yes. Any doubt? Any doubt? Please ask. Any doubt? Please ask. Right. See, I'm telling you again and again. See, we are here to let your concepts get very clear for any of the topic that we are teaching on the YouTube or any other platform. Getting the point? So being a teacher, I believe in this part, right? You should understand each and every part rather than mugging up any part, right? That should be very clear to you. So I hope it is clear to you. I hope these points are clear to you now. So we can move for the next part. That is thermal stress. Thermal stress for prismatic and non-prismatic beams. Prismatic and non-prismatic beams. Okay, thermal stress in prismatic and non-prismatic beam. So whatever we have studied till now, that was the prismatic beam. We haven't studied non-prismatic beam. Okay, so first I will be letting you revise the formulas of the prismatic beam with another type of derivation. Okay, so first we are going to see about prismatic beam. Okay, see here, we are taking a fixed beam for the analysis because we need to find the stress, and stress can only be seen when the ends are restricted. Then only you can see the thermal stress. So we are taking a prismatic beam whose length is L, cross section area is A, then E is the Young's modulus of elasticity, alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion, and delta T is the change in temperature. Okay, let us say it is subjected to rise in temperature. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so how I am going to do the analysis? See here, suppose this was the bar that was subjected to rise in temperature. So if there is no restriction, then this bar can expand to from L to L alpha delta T. Yes or no? What I'm saying? when ends are free, when ends are free, yes or no, then you can see this elongation. Yes, then you can see this elongation. Now what will happen? The fixed end will restrict this elongation, yes or no? And while restricting this elongation, it will apply axial compressive force of P from the outside, yes or no? It will apply axial compressive force P from the outside such that if suppose the initial length is L, then the length should decrease by L minus PL by AE. Getting the point? So try to understand. If I'm saying this as delta 1 and I'm saying this second as delta 2, then for no expansion or contraction to occur, the amount by which this material should try to expand, the same amount of load should be applied such that same amount of compression can be seen. Getting the point? So what I'm saying that this delta 1 in magnitude must be equal to delta 2 in magnitude. Then only there can be no expansion or contraction. So what is delta 1? Nothing but L alpha delta T. And what is delta 2? Nothing but PL upon AE. PL upon AE. So see here, you are getting some known form. LL cancelled out, right? P by A is what? Nothing but thermal stress. Yes, we know that. And this is equal to E alpha delta T. I think you are learning this formula only from so long, right? So this proves two things. One is the thermal stress is axial. Thermal stress is axial stress, first of all, right? Second, the second thing is that this principle, the principle that we are applying, that is delta is equal to PL by E, is nothing but it is linked with the expansion and contraction. Okay, so this is in the case of prismatic beam. Now similar concept we are going to apply in case of non-prismatic beam. If you understood this, then we can move for the non-prismatic beam. If you understood this, we can move for the non-prismatic beam. Yes, any doubt, please mention in the comment. Any doubt, please mention in the comment. Any doubt, please mention in the comment. Yes. Any doubt, please mention in the comment. Any doubt you are having? Any doubt you are having? Please mention in the comment. Okay then. See here. We are moving to the next, that is non-prismatic beam. Non-prismatic beam. Okay, non-prismatic beam. So see here, in the non-prismatic beam, let us take a fixed non-prismatic beam, and the beam has a shape of tapered circular rod. The beam has a shape of tapered circular rod. Okay, the beam has a shape of tapered circular rod. Tapered circular rod. Okay, tapered circular rod, where the ends are fixed. Okay, the length of the rod is L. E is the Young's modulus, alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion, delta T is the rise in temperature for the bar. Okay, getting the point? Let us say the diameter at section 1 is D1 and the rightmost section is D2. Okay, so again I am going to move in the similar form, that if this particular bar is allowed to expand freely, then it will expand from L to L alpha delta T. Yes or no? It will expand from L to L alpha delta T. Okay. And obviously we know that if it will try to expand, then a compressive load will applied from the end. Yes or no? And due to this compressive load, you can see the compression. You can see the compression. Yes. And due to this compression, the length will decrease. And this length decrease can be said as, yes, this length decrease can be said as, say, can anyone tell what is the value of the deformation in the tapered circular rod due to the axial load of P with the diameter of D1, D2? Yes, I've already told you very important formula and very easy also, that is PL by AE, that is pi by 4 D1, D2 into E. Yes, remember? Okay, so what I'm saying that this is delta 1, that is due to free expansion. If no restriction is there, this expansion you can see, but this restriction has to be applied by the P, so because of which the length should decrease by delta 2. Okay, so for the equilibrium, for no expansion or no contraction, what we know that this delta 1 must be equal to delta 2. This delta 1 must be equal to delta 2. And if this delta 1 is equal to delta 2, then delta 1 is written as L alpha delta T. Okay. And delta 2 is written as PL upon pi by 4 D1 D2 multiply with E. Okay. So L cancelled out. And from here you can find the value of P. Okay, you can find the value of P. So what question can be asked from this topic is, one is P, other is what is the maximum thermal stress? What is the maximum thermal stress? And what is the minimum thermal stress? So what I'm saying, what is asking, what is the maximum thermal stress, and second, what is the minimum thermal stress? So two things they are asking, maximum thermal stress and minimum thermal stress. Yes, can anyone reply? Can anyone reply? What is the maximum thermal stress? See, stress is what? Load upon area, that is P upon area. Now which area? That is important. See, which area? Can anyone tell which area we should take? Maximum or minimum area? Clearly specified, if I have to take the maximum stress, then it should be minimum area in the denominator because P is constant. So it becomes P upon pi by 4 D2 square as shown in the figure we are drawing. And what is the minimum thermal stress? That is P upon maximum area, and that is nothing but P upon pi by 4 D1 square. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes. Is this point clear to all? Say dear, is this point clear to all? Sure? Sure? Okay. So next, what can be there? If the bars are in series, for bars in series, just have a look. Suppose there are two bars in series whose ends are fixed. Okay, whose ends are fixed. So one bar is of length L1 and the other bar is of length L2. Okay, each bar has a different E. Suppose it is E1, alpha 1, and it is subjected to rise of delta t. Here it is E2, alpha 2 and delta t. So what we are going to see that if again this bar is allowed for the free expansion, so what we can see, if the bar is allowed for the free expansion, so what we can see, the L1 changes to L1 plus L1 alpha 1 delta t, and L2 changes from L2 to L2 plus L2 alpha 2 delta t. Is it clear? Got my point? So now what will happen? To resist this increase, the compressive force will be applied from the ends, and for the equilibrium to occur, both ends will apply same amount of compressive force. Don't you think? For the equilibrium to occur, both the ends will apply same amount of compressive force. Okay, so due to this, if this is L1, this is L2, and if I draw the free body diagram, okay, I already told you how to draw the free body diagram in this case. First write the end forces, then move left to right and balance. So if you move left to right for the first block, then there is opposite force of P. Now balance the joint, there is a reactive force of P again. Yes, so you can see that both the bar is subjected to same amount of load. Yes or no? But their stress will be different because area is different, right? So let us say area of the first is A1 and the second is A2. So here for the first one, the length will decrease from L1 to L1 minus P into L1 upon A1 into E1. Getting the point? And for the second, it will decrease from L2 to L2 minus P into L2 upon AE. Any doubt in this part? Okay, sir. So see here, I am saying this magnitude as delta 1, second magnitude as delta 2, third magnitude as delta 3, and fourth magnitude as delta 4. Okay, so what is the total expansion that is possible if there is no restriction? Yes, delta 1 plus delta 2. Yes or no? And what is the total compression that is possible due to the external resistance? That is nothing but delta 3 plus delta 4. Okay, so what we can see, delta 1, that is nothing but L1 alpha 1 delta t, and here also. So from here we can find the value of P, and whatever question that is asked you can answer. Is it clear? So this is the way we deal with the bars in series. Any doubt? Please ask. Yes, any doubt in this question? Any doubt in this part? Please see once more. This is a prismatic beam. In the prismatic beam, what we told, when the free expansion is allowed, it will expand in L alpha t. Okay, so to resist this expansion, the opposite force is developed, the compressive force is developed, and that will cause a decrease of length by PL by AE. So for the no contraction and no expansion condition, this delta 1 must be equal to delta 2, and from there we get the value of sigma t is equal to E alpha delta t. Similar concept we applied for non-prismatic beam and for the bars in series. Is it clear? Yes. Is this point clear to all? Okay. Okay then. Let us solve a question. Ready for the question? Yes. Please take out your pens. Fast. No need of calculator in this question. Okay. See here. A cube of side A is fixed is fixed is fixed at all the sides. It's fixed at all the sides. Now it is subjected to temperature rise. It is subjected to temperature rise of delta T. Okay, so if alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion, coefficient of thermal expansion, okay, E is Young's modulus, and mu is Poisson's ratio, then determine thermal stress developed in the cube, Yes. So what is given in the question? There is a block. Okay, there's the block, and this block is fixed at all the sides. Okay, no side is kept free, all the sides are blocked. Okay, and it is said that the length of one side is A, length is A. So what is saying that what should be the thermal stress developed in this cube when it is subjected to temperature rise of delta T degree centigrade. Okay, so some of you might say, sir, let us solve this with a simple volumetric strain concept because the volume will not change. Okay, then some might use different ways of finding the volumetric strain. Right, I am going to deal this very simply. Based on the concept which I studied just now. Okay, so if I say I will be allowing free expansion, no restriction is there, no restriction is there. So if no restriction is there, then all the sides will elongate by the same amount. That is, the final length of all the side will be A to A plus A alpha delta T, A to A plus A alpha delta T. Here also A to A plus A alpha delta T. Getting the point? Yes or no? Is it clear? Now try to understand. We need to resist this elongation, and to resist this elongation, right, since all the dimensions are same, so what you are going to see that the same amount of compressive stress will develop from all the sides. Okay, so let us say that compressive stress is sigma 1, right? And what is this sigma 1? Nothing but thermal stress, which is asked in the question. Getting the point? Yes or no? So due to the application of this sigma 1, all the sides will compress by the same amount. Yes or no? So let us say that is A minus delta, A minus delta, A minus delta. Okay, let us say that is A minus delta. So that compression is delta. Okay, so from here I want to find this delta. Remember, it has to be compression. Okay, so what value I'm going to write about delta? See, I can take any direction. I can take either x, I can either y or z. So let us find what is the delta in the x direction. So if you look in the x direction, first of all you should apply the formula. So what is the formula? Nothing but sigma h by e minus mu sigma y by e minus mu sigma z by e. This I have already derived and explained very briefly in the stress chapter, right? When we are talking about the simple stress. Okay, so if you look here, sigma h is nothing but minus of sigma 1, okay, upon e minus mu times sigma y is nothing but minus of sigma 1, okay, upon e minus mu times sigma z minus of sigma 1 by e. Yes or no? So from here, if I first simplify it, so minus sigma 1 by e plus mu sigma 1 by e plus mu sigma 1 by e. So if I want to simplify this, right, if I take minus sigma 1 by e common, so I will get the value as 1 minus 2 mu, 1 minus 2 mu, right? So this minus indicate what? This minus indicate what? This indicate compression. This indicate compression, right? And this entire is what? This is magnitude of compression. Okay, so this magnitude of compression I am saying as delta. I hope you understood my point, right? See, I know this is compression, that's why I'm writing A minus delta, right? When I've written delta h, I've written the general formula, and in that general formula I'm taking minus sign to indicate it is compression, and the bracket term is indicating the magnitude of compression, which is nothing but delta. Is it clear? Is it clear? So for equilibrium, expansion must be equal to contraction. Expansion must be equal to contraction. And if the expansion is equal to contraction, then we can see that the expansion is nothing but A alpha delta t. Yes or no? So expansion is what? A alpha delta t. And what is contraction? Nothing but sigma 1 by e into 1 minus 2 mu. Achha, one more thing, this delta h is what? This is strain, and this multiply with the A. So this entire should be multiply with A. So this I'm multiplying with A, right? So this multiplied with A, because the delta that you are going to find is deformation, and the formula that we have written is about strain. So why I have skipped this? Because you should understand this is a very common mistake that you do in the exam. Okay, so see here, this A get cancelled out, and sigma 1 you are getting as E alpha delta T upon 1 minus 2 mu. 1 minus 2 mu. So this is the formula for sigma 1, right? See this, see the derivation again. Any problem please ask. Any problem please ask. See this derivation again. I have clearly zoom out so that you can see everything at once, right? Any problem, be free to ask. Be free to ask. Don't be in hesitation to ask anything. Please ask. Please ask. Please ask. Don't be in hesitation to ask anything, right? This platform is made for all the students, not only very strong student, but also for those students who find it very difficult to solve any question. I am working for them. Okay, those who are good, okay, they have good backup knowledge, so for them it's easy to understand this. But for those who are weaker in solving the question, for them I am working over here. Okay, so I want them also to move forward, because letting the good students prepare, that is very easy, but letting the weaker student, or I'm not saying that weaker student, I'm saying that these are the students who I think they don't solve that much amount of question, because of which they are lagging somewhere, and I am taking the responsibility for them, that I will be working for them to improve their knowledge. Okay, so any problem, any part, please ask. Yes, yes, any problem, any part, please ask. Please ask. Any problem, sir? Sure, sure. Okay, so these are the few questions that we are seeing. Next, we are going to see thermal stress in a compound bar. Compound bar means the bar consisting of more than one material, that is referred as compound bar, at a cross section. At a cross section, bar consists of more than one material at a cross section, that is a compound bar. That is a compound bar. Okay, so let us say there is a fixed support and there is a compound bar. There is a compound bar. There is a compound bar where one part of the bar is made up of copper, let us say, and other part of the bar is made up of aluminium. So at any cross section, if you see, in this case, you can see two material, one is copper, other is aluminium, and this is perfectly bonded. This is perfectly bonded. So in this case, the length of the bar will remain same both for copper and aluminium, right? So let us say copper has a alpha of written as alpha copper and aluminium as alpha aluminium. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, so first case that I am going to deal is rise in temperature. Rise in temperature, that means the compound bar is subjected to the rise in temperature. Okay, rise in temperature, that is delta T increases. Delta T increases. Okay, now just try to answer me one question. One end is fixed, other is free. One end is fixed, other is free. So if one end is fixed, other is free, the material is having the length of L, coefficient of thermal expansion alpha, and subjected to the rise of delta T. So what should be the deformation developed in the bar? Yes. What should be the deformation developed in the bar? We all know it is L alpha delta T. Yes. So we know that the deformation is L alpha delta T. Okay. Now for aluminium and copper, L is same, delta T is same. Yes. For aluminium and copper, L is same, delta T is same. So all expansion depend on alpha value. All expansion depend on alpha value. So if I talk about alpha, we know that we have already seen that alpha aluminium is greater than alpha copper. Yes or no? So if both the bar behave individually, then you can see the lesser expansion in copper, right? You can see the lesser expansion in copper and more expansion in aluminium. I'm saying that if it behaves individually, I'm not saying that it will behave individually. I'm saying that if they behave individually, I'm not saying that it is going to behave individually. Okay, there's a difference. I'm assuming that it is behaving individually, then what will happen, right? So what you can see here, the copper will expand to alpha copper delta T, okay, and aluminium will expand to L alpha aluminium delta T. Is it clear? Have you got my point? Now this is composite bar. So if it is a composite bar, it is not going to behave individually. It has to work as a one to be called as a composite bar. Yes or no? So what will happen? One is saying I'm going to compress more, and other will say I will be tensiled more. So for compression more or tensile more, what will happen? You need to apply more amount of stress, or we say that the stress is going to develop. Try to understand my point. Aluminium will try to expand till L alpha aluminium delta T. Yes, but copper will restrict and will say to move along with me. So if copper restrict the expansion, then the copper will apply compressive stress on the aluminium. I'm repeating once more. Try to understand what I'm saying. Aluminium will try to move in a very high speed. Suppose it is moving with 100 kilometer per hour, and copper has a capacity to move with 60 kilometer per hour. Now let us not say the capacity, it is moving with 40 kilometer per hour. Okay, so what if both has to move as an individual, right? If both has to move together, right, then both have to do some compromise. How? Aluminium will be restrained to move with 100 km per hour, and because of which the compressive stress will develop in the aluminium. Getting my point? And copper will be told to move fast, and if the copper will be told to move fast, then the tensile stress will be applied at the copper. Getting the point? Yes or no? So from here what we can conclude that due to rise in temperature, material with greater alpha is subjected to what? Compressive stress. stress and material with smaller alpha, material with smaller alpha is subjected to tensile stress. I hope this point is clear to all. Yes or no? See, repeating once more, try to understand my point. What will happen if both behave individually, right? Then you can see that aluminium will be deformed more and copper will be deformed less. So since both has to move as a one unit, so both has to do some compromise, right? So what the copper will say to aluminium, that you get compressed so that you can move along with me. And what the aluminium will say to copper, that you need to speed up your deformation, right, in order to move as a one. So what you will be seeing, that the copper will be subjected to tensile stress and aluminium will be subjected to compressive stress. Is this point clear to all? Yes or no? Yes, is it clear to all? Sure? Okay. See, now this is about gate objective. In the gate objective, they are not going to ask more than this. Okay, now let us see for the ESE. In the engineering service examination. See dear, my notes are sufficient. Whether you take GATE, whether you take ESE, or you take IAS exam, or any other competitive exam having strength of material, you don't require to see any book also. If you follow my notes properly, it's my guarantee you are going to get 100 out of 100 marks in the strength of material, right? So let's see. So first of all, see, we know that this is the final deformation, that is delta. Yes or no? So first equation that is going to be framed is delta copper must be equal to delta aluminium. Yes or no? Delta copper must be equal to delta aluminium. So what is delta copper? See, delta copper is delta copper is L into alpha aluminium into delta T minus, due to sigma aluminium it is going to compress. So first of all, what is the strain due to sigma aluminium? Nothing but sigma aluminium by E aluminium, and this multiplied with what? This multiplied with initial length, that I am saying as L, right? Considering that L alpha delta T is very small compared to L. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that it is L, and this is equal to L into alpha copper delta T, right? So you can see in the top, right, plus what is the deformation due to sigma copper? Nothing but sigma copper by E copper into L, considering that L alpha copper delta T is very small compared to L, right? So I will be writing this also. Why I'm saying this again and again? See here, when you write sigma aluminium, so what is sigma aluminium? You write E into strain in aluminium. Yes or no? E into strain in aluminium. So what is strain in aluminium? Try to understand. Nothing but delta aluminium divided by what is the initial length. So if you look in the figure, it will look like L plus L alpha copper, aluminium is there. So L alpha aluminium delta T, this was the initial length, right? So we can see that L alpha delta T is very small compared to L. So I'm equating it equal to 0, and that's why I'm writing delta aluminium as sigma aluminium by E, and this multiply with L. I hope you got my point. Yes or no? This L alpha delta T is very small compared to L. That's why I'm neglecting that. And secondary, this is just for use. but what will happen, this stress will develop from L itself. Getting the point? Because aluminum will still speed up, right? Copper is slow, so they both has to move as a one. So it's not possible to see at each and every instance, so we are taking at the end. Okay, next. So from here, what formula we can obtain? L cancelled out, L cancelled out. If I bring sigma copper, sigma aluminum one side, we'll get sigma copper upon E copper plus sigma aluminum upon E aluminum. This is equal to alpha aluminum minus alpha copper, and this multiply with delta. So this is one equation. This is one equation, right? Any doubt in this equation? Any doubt in this equation? Okay, so this is the first equation. We say this equation as a compatibility equation. We say this equation as a compatibility equation. Okay, we say this equation as a compatibility equation. Let us look at the second equation, that is equilibrium equation. That is equilibrium equation. Okay, equilibrium. Okay, so what do you mean by equilibrium equation is, see, you can see the one nature is tension and other is compression, and we are dealing with the equilibrium body. So if we are dealing with the equilibrium body, the force in tension must be equal to force in compression. Yes or no? The force in tension must be equal to force in compression. So the tensile force is created in the copper by the aluminium. So it will be sigma copper into area copper, and the compressive force is created in the aluminium by the copper. So it will be sigma aluminium into area aluminium. I hope it is clear. Yes or no? I hope this point is clear to all. Yes? Yes? Come on. Is this clear to all? See this? Say this. Any problem, please ask. Because if you don't understood this, it is very difficult to understand the next part. Right? So please, if you have any problem, please ask in this part itself. If you have any problem, please ask in this part itself. Yes? Yes? Any doubt? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. So next, this was the first part, that is rise in temperature. The second, we are going to talk about fall in temperature. Fall in temperature. The second that I'm going to follow is fall in temperature. So see here. First of all, let us draw two different materials in this composite section. So one is made up of copper, other is made up of aluminium, with the alpha as alpha copper and alpha aluminium, and also the initial length is same. But now there is a fall in temperature of delta T. Fall in temperature of delta T. So which will contract more, aluminium or copper, when they move individually? When they move individually, what I'm saying, which will compress more, aluminium or copper? Please mention the comment. Which will compress more, aluminium or copper? First. Yes, obviously aluminium. Yes, aluminium. So let us say aluminium compresses by L alpha aluminium delta T if it behaves individually, right? And copper compresses by L alpha copper delta T. Okay, is it clear? So we know that they both will not behave individually because it is a compound section. they will reach somewhere in the mid. They will reach somewhere in the mid, right? So to reach the mid section, what will happen? The aluminium will be said to go slow. And in this case, go slow means go slowly in compression. So when it is said to move slowly in compression, that means it will be applied, it will be applied tensile stress of sigma aluminium by the copper, yes or no? And the copper will be subjected to compressive stress of sigma copper by the aluminium. Getting the point? Yes or no? So what we can say, what we can write over here, that due to fall in temperature, due to fall in temperature, okay, the material with higher alpha, the material with higher alpha is subjected to what? Is subjected to tension, and material with lower alpha is subjected to compression. I hope this point is clear to all. Is subjected to compression. Yes? Yes? Any doubt? Any doubt? Sure? Sure? Okay. Okay. So this part they will ask you in the gate. So for ESE again, we need to find the stresses, that is sigma copper and sigma aluminium. So we will be writing two equations. The first is a compatibility equation. The first is a compatibility equation. Compatibility equation. So what is the compatibility equation? That the deformation in the aluminium and copper will be same. Yes or no? That is delta aluminium must be equal to delta copper. Delta aluminium must be equal to delta copper. Then only it is going to behave as a composite bar. Yes or no? So what is delta aluminium? What we can write? What we can write about the delta aluminium? See, it can compress by L alpha aluminium delta T. L alpha aluminium delta T, and from which I need to subtract the deformation caused due to aluminium. So that I am writing as sigma aluminium by E aluminium, and this multiply with the initial length L. It should be L minus L alpha delta T, but I am writing L because the L alpha delta T I am assuming very small compared to L. Okay, next what I am going to write, that is for copper. So what is there? L alpha copper delta T plus, I'm talking about the deformation magnitude, okay, plus due to the copper, what is the deformation? Sigma copper by E copper, and this multiply with L. Sigma copper by E copper, and this multiply with L. Okay, so what get cancelled out? L cancelled out. Yes or no? And from here, if I bring the aluminium one side to the copper, so we can write this as sigma copper by E copper plus sigma aluminium by E aluminium. This will be equal to alpha copper, sorry, this will be equal to alpha aluminium minus alpha copper, and this multiply with delta T. So this is my one equation for finding the stresses in the copper and aluminium, right? Second is again your equilibrium equation. Second is again your equilibrium equation. Second is again your equilibrium equation. What does the equilibrium equation say? That force in compression must be equal to force in tension. So compression is acting on the copper and tension is acting on the aluminium. Yes or no? So compression, what we are going to write, sigma copper into area copper. This is equal to sigma aluminium into area aluminium. So see here, you have two equation, two unknown, you can solve, you can get the value of sigma copper and sigma aluminium. Getting the point? So this is the way we solve the questions in the ESE from the thermal stress chapter, right? Please have a look. Any doubt, please ask. Any doubt, please ask. Any doubt, please ask. Any doubt, please ask. Yes. Yes. Why it is tension, why it is compression, it should be very clear. Why it is tension, why it is compression, it should be very clear to all. Should be very clear to all. If not clear, please ask. Not clear, please ask. Not clear, please ask. I'm repeating once more. See this concept, sometimes the student don't understand, that's why I'm repeating once more. What I'm saying, the rise in temperature, in the rise in temperature, if the both material is allowed to expand freely, then aluminium will try to expand more, copper will try to expand less. So since both has to move as a one, aluminium will be compressed and copper will be tensile. Getting the point? Whereas when we are talking about the fall in temperature, what is going to happen? That the copper will be compressed less and aluminium will be compressed more, right? So we need to reach some mid position. So what will happen? The copper will be subjected to compression and the aluminium will be subjected to tension. Is this point clear to all? Yes. Yes. Come on, write in the comment box, dear. I am putting so much effort, and if you're not replying, it's very difficult for me to interact with you. Okay. Please hit the like button so that I'm able to understand that yes, you are studying along with me. You are liking my classes. Please like the video. Please like the video. Share with your friends. Share with your friends. Share with your friends. Share with your friends. Okay, any problem in this? Any problem in this part? Any problem in this part? Okay. So if you understood this, you need to answer my one question. You need to answer my one question. What is the question? For the compound bar shown in the figure, for the compound bar shown in the figure, or the compound bar shown in the figure, determine the nature of stress. Determine nature of stress. Nature of stress on copper and aluminium due to temperature rise. Due to temperature rise. Due to temperature rise. Okay. What happened? Just a minute. Need to work out what happened. Just a minute. Okay. Due to temperature rise. Okay. So the problem is sorted here. Okay. So I'm showing you the diagram. I'm showing you the diagram. Top it is aluminium, the bottom it is copper. Both the ends are fixed. Both the ends are fixed. Your options are A, aluminium tension. Okay, aluminium tension. Copper compression. Copper compression. B, aluminium compression. Copper tension. C, both tension, or D, both compression? Both compression. Yes. Come on, who can answer fast? Fast. No need to. There's no calculation. Come on, comment in the comment box. Comment in the comment box. A, B, C, or D. Fast. A, B, C, or D. Think and then answer. Think and then answer. Don't be in a hurry to answer. Think and then answer. A, B, C, or D. A, B, C, or D. Yes. Which of the following will be correct? A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? Yes, come on fast. Which of the following will be correct? A, B, C, or D? Yes. A. How many with the A? How many with the A? B, C, or D? Okay. So let me tell you. See, both the ends are what? Fixed. So if both the ends are fixed, both the ends will try to expand, but there is no expansion allowed for both the material. So if no expansion is allowed for both the material, then both material will be subjected to compression. Getting the point? So answer is D. Is it clear? It's a very easy question, right? You should understand. See, I'm already telling you, if you understand the basics, no, it's very easy. Getting the point? I love SOM. Why I love SOM? Because I understand SOM. So once you start understanding SOM, it is not a difficult subject. It's a very easy subject. Getting the point? It's a very easy subject. So try to understand the concept and don't muck up. Is it clear? More you understand, the better you are going to be in any of the subject. You also say that such analysis is very tough. No, sir, it's very easy. Provided you understand for which purpose you are solving it. Is it clear? If you understand the concept, no concept is tough. Right? No concept is tough in the engineering. Okay. So, I will be solving one question. See here, I have already written the question so that the time will not be wasted. This is one of the very good question, one of the finest question that is asked till now in the ESE paper. Okay. So, please read the question. Take a screenshot of this question. Take the screenshot of this question so that when you will solving it, you can have the data, because it's going as a premier right now. So you cannot reverse it back. Okay. So please have a screenshot of this question. Please have a screenshot of this question. Yes. Okay. So what is given in the question? For the system shown in the figure, if temperature of the whole system is raised by 85 degrees centigrade, then determine the thermal stress developed in the copper and aluminium bar. Okay. Copper bar is perfectly bonded to the rigid beam. Okay, the bond you can see in the diagram, and the bar is, and the rigid beam is assumed to be massless. Okay, that means it is not having any weight. The rigid beam is not having any weight. It cannot apply any force in the downward direction. Okay, good. Like suppose a foam is there, right? Thermocol. You move up. We assume the thermocol as a rigid beam, right? And it don't have any mass. So there is a gap of 0.18 mm between the aluminium bar and the beam. You can see that. Okay. So a few datas are given: area copper, area aluminium, E copper, alpha aluminium, and length of copper. Okay. So see what we need to find: thermal stress developed in the copper and aluminium. Okay. Now when the thermal stress will develop? When there is a restriction to the movement, or when the bar will try to move as a one, but one is moving speedily and other is moving slowly, right? So try to understand. I'm just drawing the diagram. I will let you to first frame an equation, that is compatibility condition, right? First, I would like you to solve that question with the compatibility condition. So see here, what will happen? Copper has lesser alpha, so it will move slowly, whereas aluminium has greater alpha, so it will move speedily, right? So what will happen? I'm drawing copper as a line, so the copper bar will try to move up. Okay, copper bar will try to move up. Copper bar will try to move up. Okay, getting my point? Okay, so this is the place of copper bar where it expands from L to L plus, that is L copper plus L alpha copper delta T. Okay, right? And in the same time, aluminium expands to L2 L plus L alpha aluminium delta T. Is it clear? In the same time, aluminium expands from L to L plus L alpha aluminium delta T. See, try to understand, if copper is expanding more than aluminium, no stress can develop at the copper. No stress can develop at the copper and aluminum. Why? Because that's a free expansion, right? Now, what will happen? The aluminium will try to move very speedily upward, whereas copper is moving slowly. So there is a gap of 0.18 mm. So there a point will reach when aluminium will touch the bar, right? Due to the temperature rise, and copper is also increased by some amount. But after that time, what will happen? The aluminium will try to move very speedily towards top, whereas copper will try to move very slowly. Yes or no? That means now at this point where the touch has occurred, both copper and aluminium will try to move as a one. Both copper and aluminium will try to move as a one. Getting my point? Yes or no? So what will happen? They will reach a intermediate position. Please let me clear everything. Any doubt you are having, please ask. Any doubt you are having, please ask. Any doubt you are having, please ask. Yes, yes, yes. Any doubt that you are having. See, what I'm saying, that there is a gap of 0.18 mm between the aluminium and the rigid beam. Okay. So when the temperature rises there, copper will expand. Yes or no? Copper will expand. So although aluminium has a better alpha than the copper, so first of all it need to cover that 0.18 mm, that is a relative distance. Okay. So once it covered that 0.18 mm, it will touch the rigid beam, right? And now the aluminium will try to move speedily, whereas copper will move slowly. So for this to behave as a one, the compressive stress is applied at the aluminium. The compressive stress is applied at the aluminium, and tensile stress is applied at the copper. The tensile stress is applied at the copper. Getting the point, sir? Right. So this extra distance I am saying as delta copper, and this smaller distance for aluminium I am saying as delta aluminium. Okay. Okay. Have you got my point? Have you got my point? So from here, I want you to write, compatibility condition first. From here, I want you to write compatibility condition first about the relation between deformation in aluminium and deformation in copper. Write a relation in the deformation in aluminium and deformation in copper. Come on, write fast. Then we'll put all the data, details, everything. First, write the equation. Come on, write fast. This L you can take as for aluminium, L aluminium. Okay. Yes. Yes. Come on, write fast. Write fast the compatibility condition. Write fast the compatibility condition. Yes. Write the compatibility condition. See, this is a pure ESE question of 15 marks. Right. So you need to give the time on this question. Then only you can get the answer. Right. So write the compatibility. First write the basic formula, sir. Don't be in a hurry to include all the thing. First write the basic formula. So what you can write the basic formula. See, we know that deformation in aluminium must be more with the deformation in copper. Yes, and that more will be what? 0.18 mm. So deformation in aluminium is equal to what? Deformation in copper. Deformation in copper plus 0.18 mm. Yes or no? Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? Look at the diagram. Look at the diagram. That's why I'm writing just at the right hand side of the diagram so that you can understand this. So that you can understand this. Say when it will reach a level, right? So aluminium would have covered 0.18 mm extra than the copper to reach this level. Yes or no? So deformation in aluminium is equal to deformation in copper plus 0.18 mm. So what is the deformation in aluminium? Nothing but L aluminium into alpha aluminium into delta T, okay, minus sigma aluminium by E aluminium into length of aluminium. As I already told, L aluminium plus L aluminium alpha delta T hona chahiye. That should be there, but I am neglecting that. Okay. What is deformation in copper? Nothing but L copper into alpha copper into delta T, okay, plus sigma copper by E copper into L copper, right? And in this we will be adding 0.18 mm. Okay, so this is the equation that I have framed. Let me put the values. Length of aluminium, see, if the length of copper you obtained as 750 mm, right? So what should be the length of aluminium? You can't write the same length because it is 750 minus 0.18. Yes or no? That is nothing but 749.82 mm. Is this point clear? That is 749.82 mm. Okay, so that is the length of aluminium. So length of aluminium becomes 749.82 mm. What is alpha aluminium? What is alpha aluminium? Nothing but 23.1 into 10 to the minus 6. 23.1 into 10 to the power minus 6 minus sigma aluminium by what is E aluminium? 70 gigapascal. Converting the megapascal. So I am getting the answer of 70 into 10 power 3. And what is the length of aluminium again? 749.82. Now this is equal to length copper is 750 into alpha copper is 16.8 into 10 power minus 6 into 10 power minus 6, and delta T is what? Delta T is your, oh, I missed delta T in the above. Delta T is 85, right? So delta T is 85. This multiply with 85 plus We need to find sigma copper also. E copper is 120, I think. 120 gigapascal. That is 120 into 10 power 3. Length of copper is 750. And this added up to 0.18 mm. So let me frame my equation first over here itself. So please use your calculators. I will be also using that. And I will be making it sure that it doesn't go wrong, because calculation is one part that it should be correct. Calculation is one part that it should be correct always, right? Okay, so let's frame the equation. So first of all, you are getting 749.82. Please use your calculator. Please use your calculator. 749.82. This multiplied with 23.1, right? This multiplied with 85. Okay. This multiplied with 10 to the power minus 6. 10 to the power minus 6. So the value that you are going to obtain is, yes, anyone? What is the value you are getting? 749.82 multiply with 23.1. This multiply with 85. So what value you are getting? Yes, 1.4722 only. Till here we are going to write. Okay, minus what value you are going to get here? 749.82. This divided by 70. Okay, and this in the above it will get 10 power minus 3. So it will become 0.0107. Okay, sigma aluminium. This is equal to, what is the again the top value? 750 into 16.8 multiply with 85. So the value that you are going to get is 1.071. Okay, plus what is the value of sigma copper into coefficient? 750 divided by 120. See, I'm solving along with you. Please try to solve along with me, sir. I don't miss this opportunity of solving. Right, I'm solving only for you. I could give you the answer directly, but I'm not doing like that. Just for you. So please utilize this opportunity. So what's the value you are going to get over here is 1.4722 minus 1.071 minus 0.18, that is 0.2212, and here you are going to get as 0.00625 sigma copper plus, I'm giving a space, a bit of space should be there, 0.00625 sigma copper plus 0.0107 sigma aluminium, and this must be equal to 0.2212. So this is the first equation you are getting. Okay, see, ESE you can't just crack with simple formula. You need to be bit good in your calculations, right? So this is your compatibility condition. Next, I'm going to use the equilibrium equation. So what is the equilibrium equation? See, the force in copper must be equal to force in aluminium. So force in copper, what we are going to write? Sigma copper into area copper, and since it is 2, so we are multiplying with the 2. Force in aluminium we are writing as sigma aluminium into area aluminium. So 2 into sigma copper, area copper you are having as yes, area copper 500. Area copper is 500, and sigma aluminium multiply with area aluminium, that is 400. So from here you get sigma copper is equal to 0.4 times sigma aluminium. So this is your second equation. Now to get the answer, put 2 in 1. Put 2 in 1. So you put 2 in 1. What you are going to get? See here. If you put 2 in 1, what answer you are going to get? We are going to write 0.00625 into 0.4 into sigma aluminium plus 0.0107 sigma aluminium. This is equal to 0.2212. Right. So from here, what we are going to see? 0.00625 multiply with 0.4 plus 0.0107 0.0107. Okay, that is coming as 0.0132 sigma aluminium, and that is equal to 0.2212. So if I divide, get the value as 16.7. Sigma aluminium are getting as 16.75 megapascal, and sigma copper that you are going to get will be multiply with 0.4, that is 6.7 megapascal. Right, see why I am solving this along with you. The only reason is you should understand that in the ESE conventional, right, you need to work very hard for your calculation. Okay, so I hope you understood with this calculation part, right? Any doubt you can ask, any doubt you can ask, any doubt you can ask. Yes, any doubt you can ask. You can take the screenshot over here. You can take the screenshot like this. You can take the screenshot, although it will be available in the PDF. Okay, so supposing the same question, I'm just adding last question. Okay, last question for the day. Last question. In the above question, what should be rise in temperature? What should be rise in temperature so that no thermal stress, is developed in both copper and aluminium. No thermal stress is developed in both copper and aluminium. So what it is saying, that due to the rise, the aluminium just touches the rigid beam. It is not expanding after that connection. So that temperature I required. That means now in the above question it is not 85 degrees centigrade. We need to find a temperature such that no stress is developed in the aluminium and copper. So can anyone tell me the answer? What equation should I frame? This is the initial for aluminium and copper. Here the aluminium initial is there. Here the copper initial is there. This is length of copper. This is length of aluminium. This is 0.18. This expansion is L aluminium, alpha aluminium, delta T, and the other one is L copper into alpha copper, delta T. Fast, give me the answer of delta T. You can understand this. You can solve this fast. Yes, please give me the answer. Last question of the thermal stress. That's it. We are completing the thermal stress. Yes, please solve. First write the compatibility condition, that's it, no other equation, because no stress is developed. I just want what is delta T. What is this delta T? What is this delta T? Anyone with the answer? Fast, I'm giving you 2 minutes. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Yes, I'm giving you 2 minutes. Fast. Yes. 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 Okay. See then, what we can write, see here, delta aluminium is equal to delta copper plus 0.18. Yes or no? There is no stress, right? And what is delta aluminium? Nothing but L aluminium into alpha aluminium into delta T. Delta copper is what? L copper into alpha copper into delta T and plus 0.18. So L aluminium is what? We have already written earlier, right? L aluminium 749.82. 749.82 mm. Alpha aluminium we have written as 23.1 into 10 power minus 6. You can check in your sheet the photocopy that you have done. Delta T we need to find. L copper is 750. Alpha copper is 16.8 into 10 power minus 6. Delta T I need to find plus 0.18. So from here we need to find delta T. So let's find it. 749.82 multiply with 23.1. Okay, so the value that you are going to get here is 0.01732. Yes, delta T, this is equal to 750 into 16.8. so the value you are going to get here is 0.0126 into 10 to the power 0.0126 delta T plus 0.18. So if I rearrange, I will get delta T as 0.18 divided by keeping delta T to the left hand side and then dividing it. So you are going to get 0.01732 minus 0.0126. So 0.01732. Please solve along with me dear. Minus 0.0126 reciprocal multiply with 0.18. So the value that I am obtaining is 38.1 degree centigrade. This is the value, right? That is the delta T. So at this temperature, the aluminium is going to just touch the beam, but it is not going to apply any pressure on the beam. So because of which no compressive force is applied on the aluminium or no tensile force is applied on the copper. I hope it is clear to all. Yes. So I hope you enjoyed this session, right? I tried my level best to explain you thermal stress, right? If you enjoyed this lesson, please, it's a request that you share this video at least with 2 of your friends, right? And ask them to come to our channel. Please see the video, right? If they like, it's very good. If they don't like, then it's also good, right? It's everyone cannot be satisfied, right? But we are trying level best to satisfy each and everyone. Okay, so again I'm first mention about the schedule. So the class of the English is running in the morning, English medium class, that is from morning 7 to 9. I'm taking the strength of material. From 9 to 10:30 RCC is running on. Okay, in the evening, those who are not comfortable with the English, they can take Hindi class, right? In the morning and in the evening time from 7 to 8:30 environment is running, and 8:30 to 10 surveying is running, right? Then in the crash course of Rajasthan AE and JE vacancy, 4 to 7 classes going on, where in the 4 at 4 the geotech is going on, 5th 5 at 5 p.m. BMC is running, and 6th I am taking only the class of survey. Okay. Thereafter, last and foremost part, about me you know very well, right? About me you know very well. I am 5 times GATE top ranker, right? I also cleared the ESE pre and mains with a score of 637 out of 300, right? GATE and ESE, I have a teaching of 5 years of experience. You are studying already the strength of material, right? And surveying, right? Surveying is a crash course type, okay? Right now that is running on the RSMSSB, and you can see the other subjects also, that is structural geotech, open channel, environment, and CPM PERT. So this is my team. You have almost seen everyone, right? You have almost seen everyone, right? You are left, that is Kshitij sir is left, Babulal sir you have not seen till now. Okay, you can see them. So again, subscription, what is the importance of subscription? You have already understood that you will be having the classes both in English and Hindi. Crash course is there, daily live classes there, doubt clearing sessions are there, right? So this is one of the batch type, right? There are different batches, right? Those who have joined late, they can understand this very clearly. And this is the way we teach in the Unacademy Plus, right? There is a separate way in which you see the part of the written. You can see the comment section over there. You can see the faculty teaching, right? So all you can see over there. For your doubt clearance, you can post your doubts. You can post your doubts, right? And post your doubts. You can see that the faculty will be replying to those doubts, right? There is continuous quiz. There is a leaderboard in which you can see where you stand in that quiz. And again, subscription you can go, right, for the GATE and ESE either for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months, right? Either you can go with my code if you like my teaching, or any other faculty, that's your wish. Okay, you can pay with either with the debit card or credit card as a EMI if you can't pay a big amount at a time. Okay, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed a lot. I tried my level best to let you enjoy. So we'll meet tomorrow with a new topic, that is SFD and BMD. So please, that's a very important topic, and I hope you will invite more your friends to this channel, and we can give very good content to you. Okay, thank you.